And for you is half of what your wives leave if they have no child. But if they have a child, for you is 1/4 of what they leave after any bequest they may have made or debt. And for the wives is 1/4 if you leave no child. But if you leave a child, then for them is 1/8 of what you leave, after any bequest you may have made or debt. And if a man or woman leaves neither ascendants nor descendants, but has a brother or a sister, then for each one of them is 1/6. But if they are more than 2, they share 1/3, after any bequest which was made or debt, as long as there is no detriment caused. This is an ordinance from Allah, and Allah is knowing and forbearing. Tilka hududullah. These are the limits set by Allah. And whoever obeys Allah and His Messenger will be admitted by Him to gardens in paradise, under which rivers flow, abiding eternally therein. And that is the great success. وَمَن يَعْصِ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ. And whoever disobeys Allah and His Messenger, and transgresses His limits, He will put him into the fire to abide eternally therein, and he will have a humiliating punishment. So in love or hatred of people, do not change the law of Allah. Why? Because this is something that will take a person to the fire. We learned that a person is allowed to make a will of up to 1/3 of his wealth for non-heirs. And if a person dies leaving behind debts, then firstly, the debt must be paid off. And then the will should also be executed. And after that, the heirs should be given their shares. And even if the heirs are well off, still they should not be deprived of their inheritance shares. In hadith we learned that Sa'ad bin Malik, he said that the Prophet ﷺ came to visit me while I was sick. And he thought that he was going to die. Because the sickness was so severe, he didn't think that he was going to survive. The Prophet ﷺ said to him, "Do you have a will?" And he said, "Yes, I do." He said, "How much?" He said, "All of my money for the cause of Allah." The Prophet ﷺ said, "What did you leave for your children?" He said, "They are rich, they have enough." He said, "Will 1/10, meaning only 1/10. He said, the Prophet ﷺ kept decreasing it until he said that, no, will only 1/3. Meaning the Prophet ﷺ suggested that, okay, 1/10 of your property, give that in the way of Allah. But Sa'ad said that, no, I want to give more than that. So the Prophet ﷺ said, okay, this much, this much, this much. Until finally the Prophet ﷺ said, "Ath-thuluth." Maximum you can give is only 1/3. وَالثُّلُثُ kathir. And he said that even 1/3 is too much. Too much. Because it's better that you leave your heirs with money. Because they also need it. And we see that there was a man at the time of the Prophet ﷺ who had 6 slaves. And right before he died, he set them all free. Why? So that his heirs would not get them in their share of inheritance. So he wanted to deprive his heirs. He wanted to deprive his relatives. So he set all those slaves free. And the Prophet ﷺ, when he found out about that, he said, "I was thinking of not offering the funeral prayer for this man." Another person we learn, he had also done something similar. And the Prophet ﷺ said, "Had I been present before his burial, he would not have been buried in a Muslim cemetery. I would not have buried him over here in the graveyard of the Muslims." So this is something very serious. We think that it's our wealth. We have control over it. No, once we die, it's not ours anymore. It has to go to other people. So let it go to them.